Hi everyone, I'm Leo from DAIVIN, and we're building tankless dive gear. I'm currently here in San Francisco, California, going through Y Combinator Winter 26 batch, and it's been really amazing to say the least. All the way from batch mates to group partners to the sessions, absolutely amazing. Now, I wanted to make this video and the videos to come to shed some light on why we wanted to make this invention, where it came from initially, what's our long-term mission, and generally to talk a little bit about the diving industry and why diving industry is kind of shrouded in mystery and things happen there that many probably don't know about, and how our invention could possibly fix it for hundreds of years to come. So I'm Leo. I've been working 7 years now in almost 8 years now in the electrical industry. I've done multiple different projects. I mean, tens and tens of projects in residential, commercial, infrastructure, high voltage, uh, control systems, automation, anything you can imagine. I've probably done a little bit of it. And I also hold the highest level of certification in that field, which allows me to basically sign off really complex power line constructions, residential constructions, commercial constructions, transformers, everything. So I had to go through rigorous training to attain that. And with that background, I also like diving because diving is a really enjoyable sport because you get to be underwater where it's more quiet, beautiful fish out there. You can look around and just have a calm moment in the ocean. However, this feeling got quickly disturbed by all the videos online about diving accidents, and by me firsthand experiencing such like events equivalent when I was going to dive. For example, once I was setting up the regulator to the tank, which you do every time you start going to the dive, and the O-ring was missing, and the tank started to hiss, but and we noticed, and we just pulled from a rusty box a rusty O-ring and put it in place. But I thought, what if I had somebody I had to take care of who was less experienced? What if we were in a boat and we had a big uh, plan to go and dive for a really long distance and super deep, and one of my tanks accidentally missed didn't have an O-ring in place, and it would have leaked all the way when we were going down there. Somebody would have gotten entangled, and all the decompression stops. It's horrible when I thought about it. Fast forward, I went diving, saw some bubbles come out also of my buddy's gear, and resurfaced and carried this heavy and expensive gear back to the dive shop, and just thought that this is not probably the way that it should be done. As far as I've learned as an engineer, you have to be really precise about the safety, especially electricity. If you don't respect it, you get zapped. And same way with water and diving. If you don't respect the fact that the ocean is much bigger than you're going to get crushed. And I think that we have now this understanding in the diving industry that we have figured it out, that it's all set, and we've done this for hundreds of years, and this is how it goes. But I don't think so. There's still, if you watch YouTube, you can see a lot of videos about same diving accidents happening again and again. Tanks running out, nitrogen narcosis, somebody getting entangled in a cave or wherever, uh, then bends, getting hospitalized because of that. Many accidents that are happening all over again, and it doesn't really look at you whether you're a super experienced diver or whether you're a beginner, because it can happen whenever, uh, even because of one small mistake. which could be the O-ring. So I sat down. I thought, how does any like sea animal breathe? Fish, insects, etc. And they breathe in a different way. It's not feasible to use the same method they do in providing oxygen for humans, and it's actually super dangerous because in certain parts of the ocean or lake there might not be any oxygen. It just hasn't dissolved from the air. And I figured out, oh, on the bottom of the ocean there's actually these deep sea nodules that apply electrolysis to the water and thus provide oxygen into the ocean and into our atmosphere that we breathe uh, every single second. I researched it. That is it possible to apply this electrolysis technology? What electrolysis is that you apply electricity to the water molecule, which splits oxygen and hydrogen apart, so you get the gas that we're actually breathing. And I calculated and realized that it would actually be feasible to do it. Fast forward, built the device, and later dive tested. And the video you can see in the DAIVIN channel. But the beautiful thing about it wasn't only the oxygen. The beautiful thing about it was the hydrogen. If you think, what gases are we using currently to dive? Well, if you go on a shallow dive, you just use the regular air that's in the atmosphere. But once you're starting to go deeper, you have to start enriching the air with more oxygen to not get nitrogen narcosis. And what nitrogen narcosis is, which is also in many videos online misunderstood. They speak about nitrogen toxicity and different types of terms, but it is actually nitrogen narcosis. What happens is under pressure, the nitrogen atoms in your brain bind to certain receptors and cause you to be drunk. And when that happens, you start not understanding where you are, what you're doing, and it oftentimes can become fatal. Then you can go like even deeper than that, and then you have to be super precise about the oxygen levels, and you cannot add more nitrogen because nitrogen is narcotic. So you have to start adding other inert gases such as helium, and that's why we have like a gas called trimix. So you add helium, oxygen, and nitrogen. But what's the downside of trimix, and especially helium? Well, even now it is not cheap to go dive with trimix, but helium in and of itself has risen in price 1,000% in past 25 years. 25 years and 1,000%. That's a really big increase. And now when AI data centers are being built and helium is being used in a lot of industrial cooling applications, etc., the price is rising even more. And it is not far-fetched that in next 10 years, the helium might be 10 or 100 times more expensive. I mean, that will start having such an immense effect on the whole diving industry that who can dive anymore with trimix? Who can access those depths where certain missions have to be done? I mean, underwater construction, underwater search and rescue. I really hope that those things will not end because we don't have access to helium with a good price. And mind you, why the price of helium rises so rapidly is because you cannot produce it. It is a rare earth, a gas which you can only find X amount in the Earth's crust, and we're running out of it. So that's about it shortly. What is the gas that we could technically subsidize helium with? There's only one, and it is hydrogen. Hydrogen is the only gas that you can swap the helium with because it is really perfect inert gas in many ways. But one of the ways that I would explain it in simple terms is that the atom is even smaller than helium. It doesn't induce narcosis in relatively traditional depths. Of course, when you start going deeper, then hydrogen also has neurological effects, but at least not as early as nitrogen starts giving them. Hydrogen is a smaller atom, meaning that your decompression stops are cut in about half. Uh, and also, it's readily available. It's all around you in the ocean. And through electrolysis, when you split the molecule into oxygen and hydrogen, you get the both. So that's the beauty of it. Now, you may ask about, is this feasible? Is there enough power to do that? And I will talk about it separately. Uh, but I can say that it is not anymore a constraint of power because we have drones that run on really efficient batteries. The battery technology has developed a lot in the past 5 years. Same thing with electric cars, and the industry moving slowly forward. And but the thing is, the paradigm that I want people to understand is that now we're hauling these giant tanks, and we see it that we need to grab this end product and haul it down there underwater. Whereas we could see it as more of an energy problem. How do we produce this gas? And how much energy do we need for that? So this size of a tank actually could be compressed all the way to a battery this size in terms of the oxygen output. And how much water do you need for this amount of gas? Well, it is probably less than your cup of water that you drink in the morning. Because with one bottle of water, you could have enough oxygen for 24 hours. Think about that. So it is not a gas problem, it is just an energy problem. We need an energy source reliable enough that can split the water into oxygen and hydrogen consistently. And if it's done by a battery this size, you can have multiple of them. Still, it is smaller than a tank this size. It is really important to understand that why we need technological development in the diving industry, because if we don't develop technology in diving industry further, we're going to stall, and every single other industry is going to stall naturally that are dependent on diving industry. And we're going to just end up seeing that when this problem compounds, that we're going to be forced then to innovate in that area. And when we're forced to innovate in a really urgent manner, well, that's when problems start to happen and accidents start to arise. But what we do here is we have a long-term mission for accessing water economy and diving by going gradually deeper. And that's what our product is all about. And that's what the video is all about, to show that it is possible. And we're constantly developing it further to go deeper, to be more powerful, to be more resilient, more reliable. And of course, I wouldn't advocate anybody to do what I did testing the product. But for me, it is my deep passion and desire to bring something better on the market than tanks that keep constantly failing. And I think that there's many sources people can double check it and or see it, but one person dies every 100,000 dives. And claiming that that is a small number, well, it is 1,000 times more than flying in an airplane. And whenever an airplane falls to the ground, it is the giant news event. Although statistically, we should have news about how much divers are dying all the time. How many of those divers are parents or children or sisters, brothers of someone. And we just sweep it under the rug and say, oh, it was another diving accident. The diver was not considerate enough. When I would really advise people to go and try diving and feel the cognitive load, especially when you start going deeper, and especially when the water starts getting darker and you cannot tell, are you going up or are you going down? It is not an easy task to manage yourself down there. And that's why I think, personally, that it is important that we have a system that scales in the same proportion in terms of safety, flexibility, and the power output as the diver needs. And that's what batteries provide. And we can see the paradigm in everything. You carry your iPhone, You can always recharge it. You couldn't carry a telephone booth. You have electric cars, you can recharge them. You couldn't do that with horses because you would have to stop for a longer time, etc. But that's whole another innovational theory behind this thing. But in all simplicity, tank diving is obviously super dangerous. We're running out of helium. We still have to do missions down there, and there hasn't been any significant innovation in this space for 100 years. And at some point, we're going to face the fact that we have to innovate here. And that's why we, DAIVIN, took the challenge upon ourselves, and we're going to solve it. Share this with your friends. Ask questions, submit them to me. Tell me what you want me to talk about in the next video. And let's explore the diving world together. I would gladly talk about it even more and ask about the product. It was really nice talking to you guys, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.